Hello everyone, this is Patrick. I'm in my review ranking corner, and it is time for part 1 of my favorite top 40 albums of 2021. This is going to be number 40 through 26, and then I'll do 25 through 11, and then I'll do my top 10, round up the year. I'm excited. So I have been keeping track of all the albums I listened to in 2021, so I was building my list up over the year. I also might make a runners-up video or throw in some runners-up, maybe in part 2 or part 1, but for this video, I think I'm going to just focus on my list. We love throwing out as many albums as possible. We listen to a lot of stuff, but let's keep it concise enough, right? So, top 40 of 2021. There's a couple of non-metal releases on my list, and I was going to keep them off, but I decided not to. So, shall we begin? I guess that's the question, so I'm going to answer yes to myself. So, number 40 is the band Mole and their album, Diorama. I discovered Mole actually because I received their debut album in a grab bag, believe it or not. So I basically paid $5 for Mole's last album, and I listened to it, and I immediately thought it was one of the best that I received in that grab bag. Mole are a Denmark-based post-black metal band. I think this is their stronger of their 2 albums. The vocals remind me of old Anders Frieden. I know I say that a lot, so it gives me a nostalgic feeling. There are even a little bit of melodic death metal parts in the album, but this is properly understood as a post-black metal album. Mole, Diorama, number 40. Number 39 is the band Wolf King and their album The Path of Wrath. This is a blackened hardcore band from California. I actually just recently listened to their debut album, Loyal to the Soil. That is really good. That is groovy. Even more hardcore influenced, but you can still hear the blackened in the vocals. The Path of Wrath is a more dynamic, diverse record. It is a bit long, but I actually listened to it on a long drive today that I had to do, and I really like Wolf King. I really like The Path of Wrath. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Wolf King. If you like hardcore and you like black metal, I think you're going to really enjoy The Path of Wrath. Check it out if you haven't heard it yet. Number 38 is Silence the Prince, their album Beyond the North Wind. This is melodic death metal from California. I don't think they have any physical releases to purchase. I would want to buy one of them, of course. Silence the Prince. Yeah, it's melodic death metal, but if I always say this, I don't know why I say this about this album, but give them, if you don't like what you hear in track 1, listen to track 2, and then you'll see by the end of track 3, you'll hear a very diverse, dynamic album in the making. There's a couple of instrumentals. The aesthetic they go with is sort of that frozen tundra that I always just love when I see on the album cover. Silence the Prince is a small independent release. Again, you can listen to it on Bandcamp. It is really good melodic death metal. Silence the Prince, Beyond the North Wind, number 38. Number 37 is the metalcore band Copra and their debut album In Transmission. This is straight up Every Time I Die worship. I've never heard a band sound more like Every Time I Die. And at the same time, since Every Time I Die is my favorite band, not make me feel like they're ripping off the band, but merely inspired. And the guitar players have said that that is one of their favorite bands, so that makes sense. That's actually really cool to hear, considering how long the band has been around. You're never going to be Every Time I Die, but it's cool when a band taps into that sound and still brings in the diehard fans and doesn't make them recoil and just think this band is ripping off my favorite band, sort of and so forth. The vocalist, however, Crow Lotus, she actually says she's not really inspired by Every Time I Die, but the band is. But even her cadences and her delivery, and even like the phrasing that she uses, does remind me of Keith Buckley. Again, massive compliment. He's my favorite vocalist and lyricist of all time. Crow Lotus, though, the vocalist says that she is more inspired by Henry Rollins, Tom Araya, and Janis Joplin. Check out Copra if you like nasty sounding, vicious, aggressive, energetic, metallic hardcore. Number 36 is the band Famish God and their album Rotting Ceremony. This is a death doom album out of Spain, and again, I've seen a number of people talk about it, which is cool, but I don't think enough. I think this is one of the best death doom albums of 2021. That's why it's on my list at 36. And if you like Worm, check out Famish God. Really atmospheric death doom. There are plenty of riffs for riff heads to go wild over, but the riffs serve a purpose to make the atmosphere even darker, even creepier. They're melodic. The guitar playing is really impressive on this album, Rotting Ceremony. Yeah, so check out Famish God. They are my number 36th album of the year 2021, and with Rotting Ceremony. Finally, I have an album that I can hold a physical copy of, and I am talking about the synth pop alternative rock band Churches and their album Screen Violence. Robert Smith from The Cure is on a track here on this album. He's on the track How Not to Drown. Synth pop, electro pop, alternative rock, not my genre that I know a lot about, so I can't necessarily compare them to other artists. Something about Churches just grabs me. I really like the vocalist a lot. I think her name is Ellie. They are inspired by The Vines, Courtney Love, and Blur. Just a fun, dynamic band. I even call them post-grunge. That's why I think I was drawn to them on their first album because it was just crunchy alt rock that also brought in these poppy elements. Churches, well established pop band at this point in their career. I look forward to all their releases. Churches, Screen Violence, number 35. Number 34 is a atmospheric black metal band out of Switzerland by the name of Aura, and this album is called Tirade 1 Eos. It is a planned trilogy based on an 1820s novel. Can't recall the name right now, but there's maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 black metal albums in my top 40. Aura is I would say they sound like a second wave, very melodic black metal band. If you like Spectral Wound, Obsequies, Vindir, check out Aura. The guitars, kind of like Obsequies, the guitars have this beautiful, clean tone when they do the tremolos, which they do a lot of tremolos. That you almost keep going, is there synth in there? There might be synth, by the way, but there's no indication that there is on Metal Archives. I don't own a physical copy of the album yet, but I don't know. I think it's possible that all the atmosphere is created by the guitarist, who also is the bass player, and just very good atmospheric black metal. Beautiful and haunting at the same time. Aura, number 34. Number 33 is another one of the few non-metal artists in my top 40. Another English-based um, alternative rock band, Wolf Alice, with the album, what is this called? Blue Weekend. This is Blue Weekend, and I realized I messed up Churches and Wolf Alice when I was describing them as post-grunge. Wolf Alice is who's post-grunge. And another amazing vocalist, and I think, yeah, I got Churches confused with Wolf Alice. I don't really have them confused, but for some reason my mind had them confused just now. Wolf Alice is the post-grunge act that basically is inspired by the Vines, Blur, and Courtney Love. Grungy, yet pop, beautiful, lush, melodic, fun. Wolf Alice, Blue Weekend, an English alternative rock band, number 33 on my year-in list. So, next up, we have a legendary band, and I have listened to all 19 of their albums. I always go back and forth regarding where I place any of them. I even go back and forth whether or not how much I love the band. But overall, I like the band a lot, and I'm talking about Dark Throne and their album Eternal Hails. Eternal Hails is epic black heavy metal. That's what you get. Every riff is perfect. Production sounds just bad in a good way. It's not highly produced. They sound like there's two men playing in a garage, probably one too many beers, reflecting over their long career, looking out into the sky, and thinking about just what they've created, and they know they're going to pass on their legacy to all of us and all of younger bands who are inspired by Dark Throne. This album grew on me a lot. This is how I want to hear my heavy metal. I want to hear it epic, and I want to hear it doomy, and I want to hear it blackened. And this is some blackened, doomy heavy metal. Dark Throne. You're probably either going to love or hate this album. I love it. It's number 32 on my top 40 albums of 2021. Number 31 is the thrash metal band Toxic Ruin and their album Nightmare Eclipse. It's a thrash metal band out of Wisconsin. Uh, Thrash metal is a genre that I struggle to like, mostly because of the vocals and mostly because I always want it to be a little heavier because I love death metal. Toxic Ruin is a heavy thrash metal band. The vocalist reminds me again of old school Anders Frieden, old school In Flames. Yeah, I just like Toxic Ruin, Nightmare Eclipse a lot. A lot of shreddy guitar solos. I think they even feature guest guitar players doing solos, so that's why they sound varied as well. Just a fun, thrashy, heavy album. The only thrash album on my list for 2021. Tell me other bands to check out if you know Toxic Ruin and you know what kind of style I might like based on liking Nightmare Eclipse. We have now made it to the top 30. Number 30 is a hardcore, post-hardcore band out of Texas. We're talking about Portrayal of Guilt and the album We Are Always Alone. One of the first albums I heard from 2021 that really just blew my mind. mixture of blackened black metal type vocals, fast grindy blast beats, with this with a lot of hardcore, post-hardcore influences too. There are gang chants, there are cleaner type choruses, but it's a roller coaster of a ride. Me and my girlfriend had the pleasure to go see this band very recently in a small ass bar, and the drummer James is a virtuoso on drums. He blew our minds, and it just felt like the privilege of a lifetime to see such a drummer. We were right in front of them. We were front row to the side in a tiny ass club where the drum set was basically, we were 4 feet, 5 feet from the drummer. We had earplugs in. I took them out a couple times. Holy shit! I'll never forget that drumming performance. Portrayal of Guilt has another album out this year called Christ Fucker. Not on my top 40, but it's also growing on me. Check out Portrayal of Guilt. We Are Always Alone. If you like a lot of variety in your extreme metal, they have it. If you like post hardcore, they have it. Number 30. 29. Get another non metal release. There's only a few more left after this at this point already. Number 29 is St. Vincent with the album Daddy's Home. Also had the pleasure to see her live, her and her band live in October of this year. Annie Clark is the guitar player, is the vocalist, is the songwriter. And she, to me, is like, she's a goddess. She encapsulates what it means to be like a human being with all of our, just in one person. Annie Clark is it. So St. Vincent sounds different on every album. She's largely like an electro pop, but I would say she's always guitar driven, and that's what draws me in every time. A very talented guitar player, likes to make strange noises like Tom Morello. You gotta sometimes hear and wait for the guitar licks, but her simple melodies are just so infectious, and her voice is perfect. This time around, Daddy's Home is like a electro pop meets funk meets Pink Floyd. I'll say that again: electro pop meets funk meets Pink Floyd. If you like just good artistic music, Annie Clark, who is St. Vincent, awesome. My number 29 album, Daddy's Home. Number 28 is a London-based death metal institution, Grave Miasma, and their album Abyss of Wrathful Deities. First time through, I did not enjoy this album. I thought it was kind of boring. I wasn't sure about the production values. I kept going back to it. It kept rising in my list. Grave Miasma makes dense, thick, mature death metal. It's not brutal death metal. It's not highly technical, though they are technical. They're very good instruments. There's technicality in it. It's not brutal. It's not technical. It's not death doom. It's just very good, mostly mid-tempo death metal. I don't think anybody sounds like Grave Miasma. Maybe Triumvir Foul. A couple of names that I can't quite recall right now. Who else I'm thinking of? Father Be. What was that band called? Man, Father Be Fouled. Maybe. The lyrical content is very smart. A lot of interesting influence from Hinduism. Yeah, Grave Miasma. This is a record I can just put on and let it take me over. Very, very good, strong, talented band. I'd love to see them play this live. Number 28 is Grave Miasma with Abyss of Wrathful Deities. Number 27 is the band Mortiferum. That is how I'm going to say it. That is actually how I think you pronounce it, but I'm not sure. So please tell me in the comments if I am wrong. Mortiferum and their album Preserved in Torment. My pre-order is stuck in a warehouse somewhere or on a ship somewhere. And this is Death Doom, and for me, they were competing with Cerebral Rot all year long regarding which filthy, disgusting incantation worship Death Doom artist is going to be higher on my list. We will wait and see. I'll just say at 27 is Mortiferum with Preserved in Torment. Again, textbook Death Doom. Very cool leads. Very cool guitar work. The drummer is absolutely going nuts. That's probably the highlight of the album, is the drumming. Super low, one note vocals. Just how I like it for Death Doom, to be honest. Good album. Excited to get it on vinyl. Okay, so to wrap up part 1 of my top 40 albums of 2021, I am putting Humanity's Last Breath and their album Valde at 26. This is a deathcore band, and that is not a genre that I like very much. They sound like Behemoth, like Evangelion era Behemoth, channeled through Knock Loose. So there's that hardcore groove, breakdown driven sound. The guitar tone is even usually on paper one it's too close to gent, but something about this album grabs me emotionally. It is just really, the lyrics are all about getting you to grasp the inevitable that is coming up in your future, that is coming up in all of our futures. And yeah, it sounds like the music sounds like that monument in the background, but only if the monument had was alive, and it was just picking up people and thrashing and thrashing us and breaking us apart. And that's what the drumming performance on this is really stand out. I really like the vocal performance. So check out Haitian, the song Haitian. Check out Futility. If you didn't like the Rivers of Nile album from this year, which I didn't, you might like this. If you liked All Shall Perish from 2008, you might like this. Again, I hope they go more death metal than deathcore in the future. But I can't lie, I really like Humanity's Last Breath and their album Valde. It is 26 on my list. Give it a listen and then give it another listen. I listened to it last night, and yeah, it just does something to me emotionally, and I did not expect it for this album. It has very cool dark guitar work. There's a lot going on this album, and it has replay value because of that. And yeah, this has been part 1 of my top 40 albums of 2021. I will see you all soon. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.